So I started to build a Pennsylvania Q1, the one with the round nose cone in the front. I believe that the only train that was ever made was a prototype. It never went into production. I ended up changing the train, and then they discontinued it because they had tons of problems, because the rear pistons were in front of the firebox and they were prone to failing due to heat. So then they came out with the Q2, which looked more like this, except for it had 3 drive wheels in the front. So I like the way it looks backwards, so I am going to make the train that never was. I started the shell tonight. That's basically it. It needs to be shaped. Needs to be belt sanded down. It's made out of Lexan, 1 1¼ inch plastic drain pipe. As you can see, there's the piece. That's probably going to get cut off. I just left it in there to keep the support in the front. Roughly, that's where the cutout's going to be. There will be another piece that goes over this, so most of this is going to get chopped off. I need the added strength. This stuff is sort of flexible. Strong enough once you put it all in there. Now this is the inside frame here where my 2 fingers are, that had slats going across. I drummeled them all out once everything was glued together. The center of the shell is cut out. That's so the motor won't hit it. This will be all drummeled out. I put the plastic pieces in there where the windows are going to be cut out. So that's basically it. So how I figured this to go, I haven't gotten the drivetrain parts yet, but I will be using 2 Rivarossi 4.6.2s. The rear truck will be modified to house 2 axles like this one, but I'm going to use part of the 2 truck piece because I needed to extend off, because there's going to be a piston here and it needs to clear the piston, and this will not. So it's going to be modified. So basically what you end up with is, see if we can line this up here. So you end up with something like that, and this will be 5/8 of an inch back. This will be 1/4 of an inch back, or maybe 1/8. The piston that's in the front will be in the back, and it'll be basically blocking the wheels. See how the piston is set far forward? Well, those 2 peat bars that come off the piston, basically in the rear, will be in front of 3/4 of the wheel. So this is going to come back about 3/8 of an inch more than what it is, but in reverse over here. The shafts and everything will have to be manipulated to swing that so it doesn't hit. Most likely I will be using the drivetrain in reverse, because I don't want this piece here, needs to be away from this. I can't just flip-flop this. This will hit that. So it needs to be backwards. The front truck is going to be as is, as I receive it. There'll be very little modification to it, other than flip-flopping the transmission so the motor can be pointed in the front. Now, the part that will change is this here. The front truck will be moved back almost on top of the wheel, as far back as I can get it without hitting. And the piston will be brought forward the same distance. Reason being is because it all needs to fit like this. Now, unfortunately, this is a 1/4 of an inch off, so this needs to get extended, the nose needs to get extended. I need to make the train approximately a 1/4 of an inch longer than what it actually would have been in real life. Just like I made this one here is slightly bigger, the T1 is slightly bigger, because I needed to make it so it fit all this stuff in it. So then you end up with 3 axles like that. This is going to be set far back. The front of this will be lopped off very, very close and rounded off. I am going to make this articulated. I just don't know if the rear is going to rotate or just the front. I think I'm going to do both because I do not want to take the flanges off. See how I took this flange off here? I really don't want to do that. I would rather have it fully articulated. Now, I could just make it one solid frame. That would be fine. But it will barely run on 22-inch radius turns doing that, even with taking the flanges off the 3 center axles. I don't want to do that. Then basically I only have 4 wheels touching the track. I didn't do it on my S1. All 4 wheels touch the rails. One of the reasons why it'll pull 50 freight cars is for that reason. So I just assume make it articulated. I just have to figure out the geometry of where I want it to pivot. I want it to pivot this particular one here. I could have made it pivot a little bit more in the rear and less in the front, but I wanted to be able to have all this detail here, and I didn't want the wheels to hit it, so that's where I picked that spot. This one here pivots right in the middle of the 2 wheels. As far as where I'm going to pivot the one I'm building now, I'm not exactly sure until I get the trucks built and set them on a piece of 18 radius turn. I don't know where I'm going to set the pivots up, but I had to start out with the frame, the body, to get it to be as close to scale as possible, figure out how extra wide. It's slightly wider than actually no, this one is not. The Q1 is actually a wider train than the S1. I don't know why that is, but it is. So this is the same size as the S1, which the S1 that I made. I made it slightly bigger, so I would be able to make it articulate. Nothing you see we're talking about a 1/16 of an inch bigger than what it should have been. Like this T1 is a 1/4 of an inch bigger than it would be scale. This one here is actually supposed to be slightly bigger than the T1. I'm a little off. When I add in the nose and the front piece, it's basically going to be the same size as this train, which would technically be the correct size. But I probably will have to extend it just a little bit. Until I build the chassis, I'm not going to make that determination. So this is about as far as I'm going to go until I start building the chassis, because then I have to figure out how to bolt it in and whatnot. I probably will do the same thing that I did in the S1, make one big long piece that sits in here, make a couple little feet angled up at an angle where the chassis slides in and hooks in and then fastens in the rear. I'm not exactly sure. This is just the first day of building it. I spent 3 or 4 days planning it out in my head. So that's part 1 right here. And I'll keep you posted as we go. Thanks for watching.